If you've ever felt like the third wheel, this podcast is for you.
If you love Wheel of Time, this podcast is for you.
If you're bored and have nothing better to do, this podcast is for you.
Join Rob,
Megan,
And Jen
in celebrating the Wheel of Time
and its statistically best fandom
and ridiculous gaming skills,
and probably a few cocktails.
and find out which one of them will be the third wheel this time.
This is
three-wheeling.
Hello.
I like that intro more every week.
You're
do
so
too.
cute.
Do you know what I love? I was watching the two of you because I can see everyone's cameras because I have the admin.
You have the
controls.
power. You
I have
the power.
the producer controls. I was watching everyone's faces, and Megan and Jill were both just sort of like looking to one side, looking down, and then it just like the three of us, our voiceover comes, "This is rereading," and the both of you just went and looked up at the camera. And I was like, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect.
Hilarious.
Folks, welcome to Three Wheeling. If you are unfamiliar with Three Wheeling, it's the three of us. We talk about the TV show, but we talk about it from not the regular fan angle. We talk about it from like screenwriting angle, what it's like to be seeing it from a content creator angle, things like that. And Meg makes sure we stay in touch with the fan stuff.
That don't know anything.
That don't know anything. So we give you like three aspects all in one, but we focus heavily on that side of things. So yeah, that's what we get up to. We were hoping, I heard a rumor through some of my contacts that there was something being dropped today. So we thought we'd do our first open to everyone live recording because we normally record just for patrons. And we set up this and we thought, we'll see if it happens. If it doesn't happen, we still have lots to talk about. It's JordanCon
Because
weekend.
we can vamp.
We can vamp. Exactly.
Good at improv.
So there's how is there already like 20 people watching us? This is hi everybody.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. There are a lot of people watching.
Well, it's the FOMO is very, very thick for everybody.
FOMO
Yeah.
It is JordanCon weekend. None of the three of us are there.
None of us are there.
None of us there. But also people probably are like, what does Rob know? What's happening?
What does Rob
What's
know?
dropping?
Look, I heard a rumor. I reached out to a contact or two. I was not waved off. I was not, obviously nothing was confirmed, but I was not waved off. So I was like,
Such an Aes Sedai response.
it really was. It really was. I'm going to go back to after and be like, damn you, in a good way. But yeah, so we're here. We normally record on a Sunday every couple of weeks, folks. So if you want to join us live, you can do that. Just become a patron. But we're recording on the Saturday because schedules just lined up better. And then this was here. So yeah, we normally kick it off with a cocktail. That's how we like to do it here on Three Wheeling. So I'm going to hand it over to Meg because there's sadly, and I keep checking Twitter, still no news. So we're just going to do our show. We're going to talk about Guy Roberts, JordanCon, Olivier Awards, Donal Finn, things like that, folks. But Mel, kick us off with our cocktail this week and tell us what we're...
Mel?
Sorry, Mel. I've just done threefold talk. And I was like, Mel.
That's okay. We have the same energy. It's all good.
You
the
do
same
have the
energy
same
and almost the same letters of your name.
Yeah. Meg Moss.
So the cocktail for this week is called Marin's Honeycakes. So basically the inspiration for this is, so it's a Wheel of Time themed, but play on the bee's knees. So the recipe is very simple. So just in a shaker with ice, pour 2 ounces of gin, 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of honey syrup, shake well, and pour into a coupe or martini glass and garnish with a twisted lemon peel as desired. So I actually had to make the simple syrup, the honey simple syrup myself. And that was super easy. Just 1/2 cup of water, 1/2 cup of honey, and then just heat it up. So yeah,
lovely. And you can we see
cheers.
it? Cheers.
Yes.
There it is.
Cheers.
Love that.
I'm not cocktailing today because as soon as we're done streaming, I actually have to drive my kids across town. I was like, maybe I just better drink my coffee.
Yeah, that's fine. I also chose the coffee route, but I have somehow, how did we do this, Meg? Somehow I was like, I need a sweet coffee, not just a regular coffee. So I don't have a honey coffee, but I have a sticky toffee flavored latte coffee.
Nice.
Yeah. So I foamed that up and made it just and I've actually drunk a lot of it so far, so I might have to not touch it for our game later, because otherwise I might not have anything to drink, and that could be a problem.
Well, I've got another shaker in the fridge ready to go whenever it's time to.
Nice.
I love this
Because I always go through 2 in a podcast or stream. So
this is fair. This is fair.
Yeah.
All right. So let's kick off the regular social media stuff, and then we'll talk about what's happening this weekend and things. Meg is our social. I'm not going to say it actually because there's so many people watching, and it's usually a patron treat. So you're going to have to wait for that, folks. Our social media sorceress, I think, is what we settled on. What did we settle on? Sorceress, was it?
yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Meg is our social media sorceress. So
I love it.
Meg, again, take it away. Like Meg gets a lot at the beginning of the show. I've just noticed, Jen.
She does.
I like.
We have 3 new cast members, and they're all Icelandic, Greenland sort of names. So I'm going to do my best. So we have Nukaka Koster Waldau. And so she's 53 years old. So maybe an Isle Wise one or an Aes Sedai. And Jenn, with her super sleuthing skills, discovered that she's married to Nikolai Coster Waldau, who played Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Yeah, of whom
nice.
I am a huge fan of his, and I was like, how many Coster-Waldos can there be in the world?
There can't be many of them, surely.
No,
No, he's
So,
a great actor. Yeah.
he's amazing. He's fantastic.
Mhm.
I mean, from far more than just Game of Thrones, I really love him.
Yeah, I've seen him in a few things, and I'm always just like, now you can't help but think, oh, that's Jaime Lannister, but you recognize him and be like, God damn, you're good. Like,
Yeah.
who else? We have like a couple others that were also picked out
Yes.
there.
So Bjorn Landberg, 44 years old, male, has a musical background. So maybe Asmodean?
Yeah, I hoped we get.
Yeah, I know.
Asmodean.
Who's the other guy that we were all thinking was Asmodean?
I forget who was it they picked.
It was there was somebody else because there was
Was he
some.
like Spanish or something?
Yeah, they were screaming about like this Asmodean. I think Bjorn is a better pick for Asmodean. And I think season 3 is the right time to bring him in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah,
They've got to bring in. Well, they broke him out at the end of season 2, so they've got to bring in all the Forsaken. So yeah,
and I'm hoping that they'll even like drop them in and sort of like the
way
same way
we
we were
wouldn't
introduced to
recognize.
Celine. We don't know who they are yet.
Right.
yeah,
And it
I
would be
like that.
nice if they did it in a way that even like we didn't know it potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Although I guess
Yeah.
if you're putting him in as a Gleeman, that will be cute off.
Yeah, that
We'll
one.
know him.
Yeah,
We'll know him, but we
Yeah.
might not know the others.
Yeah.
this is true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. And the last one, I love being able to pass this over. Who was the last person? Hey,
Sinov Macady Lund. So
well done.
47 years old, female, blonde, beautiful. And I'd heard some rumblings on Twitter with people saying maybe our Savannah. So
Oh, I heard maybe she was our Brigida.
or that, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
both should. Based on how the season 2 went, I feel like both could be brought in season 3. Now, okay, you say Begita, but did we now? Obviously, you can just recast and change because it was like one
Right.
quick scene. But did we not see Begita at the end of season 2 with the
We
heroes?
did, but we
We
did. They were
did.
not, that was not official casting.
This is true. That's what
I
I'm saying.
believe I
You
heard
could
that.
just
I believe
put
I
some-
even heard that from Rafe. Actually, I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like I
Oh,
heard
okay.
that they were like they were like, we need a placeholder, and then we're going to still do the search for her.
Right.
And so that's
I mean,
why
that
they
makes
didn't
sense.
call her Brigida in that. Like they didn't name her in that scene.
Right. Yeah.
I have more to say on that in a moment.
Okay.
Ooh.
I mean, not really. No, I don't know. I don't know
mean-
anything. I don't actually know anything.
I was like, Jen, what have you found? Because I did not go I was just like, cool, new people. I did not go hunting on them. So,
No.
but yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to add if you want to just skip straight to that.
Yeah.
Add on
Well,
more.
it's simply that I know I came across something sort of in the official realm of that. Maybe it was even from Sarah Nakamura. I'm not sure, but somebody who said something like, they're still looking for the Brigida. and that was not necessarily the thing. And of course, she wasn't named in that scene. And the only ones who spoke in that scene were Arthur
Guy
Hawkwoing and Guy. And did Amoryso even speak, or she just put her hand out like, "Give me that damn horn"?
Just give me the horn. Yeah.
So, but listening to Guy's, we're going to talk more about this in a bit, but listening to Guy yesterday, and he has not come out to say that he is actually Guidel Kane, right? And I think that
But
is
didn't
still.
Didn't Rafe say it right out?
Did
Somebody
Rafe
said
say
it right out?
Not to my knowledge.
I don't think it was ever said straight out. I think it's been alluded to, and then Guy said something. Yeah, he said something yesterday about that. And then after I gave him the shield, I was able to reveal the 2 swords, which is an Easter egg for something else. And I'm like, just like, what does Amazon think we don't know what you mean if you say it like that?
Maybe he's just like, maybe that bit's still under an NDA, but if it's just like 2 swords as an Easter egg is enough,
right.
Like ice dying, that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but also, truthfully, it is possible that he has not been given that official word. I mean, Amazon, well, not Amazon in general, but like studios in general will keep things loosey-goosey for as long as they can. So like they might be like, well, we don't officially want to call it that yet because maybe we'll cast a Brigida that has a really like a different Gael Kane that we really want or something, like let's whatever. So it's possible that they're not even officially committing to it down the line. And his role is, essentially in some ways small enough that they could make that change later. So I think maybe giving him 2 swords is a nod to all of us that it's probably going to happen, but I don't think it might not even be official. Even he may not know it's official.
Right. Yeah, that's very possible.
But I like that anyway.
That is a nice segue into talking about JordanCon and Guy, because Guy Roberts, folks, if you're not aware, I'm sure you are, Guy Roberts is actually at JordanCon this weekend.
And Guy Roberts plays Uno. Let's also say that too.
Guy Roberts plays Uno. Yes, good point. Thank you. And he is such a busy guy. I know he must have probably been on 10 or 12 different shows already. He's done 4 or 5 panels. Yesterday alone, he was at opening ceremonies. He did the season 2 adaptation panel. He did episodes 2 and 3 panel. He did a Shakespeare panel, and then this morning, I think he did at least 6 or 7 interviews.
Oh my god!
Holy smokes!
He was on Dusty last night. He was like doing interviews, like 10-15 minutes interview sort of thing, in like a studio, and then left that studio, came to Threefold Talk as the last slot, hung out with us for half an hour. I say us, Mel and Leia, and then dashed off to do more things. Like the guy is not stopping. But he dropped some really fun things in that season 2 adaptation.
Yeah, panel. He did.
Which, if you haven't watched, folks, did get streamed out live. So you should go and watch it if you can. I know I have a favorite moment from that panel, but does anyone want to like which bit did we like the most that we want to talk about?
You do you want to start us?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. My bit's kind of towards the end of the panel when Ali has a go at him. So Ali Ali from Wheel Takes, folks, she's a screenwriter herself, and spent her and Gus, her husband, spent a summer in Prague working, and they got to work with Guy as part of that. This was a few years back, pre-COVID, I believe. And so they know each other, they're friends. And, obviously when Guy got cast and, he can't, confirm things or deny things, whatever. So Ali's just like, hey, well done and such. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, that sort of banter would happen back and forth. And then when he died in season 2, in episode 3, she's like, sending condolences and like, I'm so sorry. And like Guy is sitting there, he's smirking in the actual panel. If you haven't seen this, folks, but she's saying, Guy's laying it on thick, like, oh, it's really rough, isn't it? All that sort of stuff, And in that moment, I was like, I'm right there with you, Ali, because I had, by this stage, by the time the TV show came out, I had been lucky enough to meet Guy rather than just interact digitally online with him, to actually meet him, get to know him, and chat to him. And I'd done the same thing. I was like, no, you can't be dead. This is a crime. This is terrible. Like, I'm so sorry. We've decided you're going to be a hero of the Horn. That's it. And he was doing the same thing with me, like laying it on thick, like, it's a shame, and so on and so forth. And I was just like, then then when he came back in the last episode, it was just like, oh, you bastard, you absolute bastard. I can see that written all over Ali's face when she's saying this.
Right.
Like, yeah, I feel you. He did it to me. He did it to Uno as well. I think he meshes them at the similar sort of time. I think they watched it like a day later because of work schedules.
Yeah.
And they said, "Guy, I can't believe you died." And he said to them, like, "Yeah, just how it goes sometimes, isn't it?" It's like,
well, it's funny because I remember at the time, and not to take anything away from us as the fandom feeling like we were responsible for that, but of course, obviously, the decision was made before we were all watching it. But as soon as he died, and the fandom jumped right onto that, like I think it was within hours of the third episode dropping or the first 3 episodes dropping that the fandom was like, bring him back, make him a hero of the horn, bring him back. And of course is a fan favorite. And his story about that and how that happened. And I think we all remember Brandon Sanderson in the live stream when he watched it with Matt taking full credit for that happening. And then Guy's story about it. And he said, of course, Rafe is going to have a different way to tell the story, but Guy's story of how, and I get this too. And we've talked about this even on our podcast already about how the actors who are playing roles that are only in a few episodes or one season or part of a season are not making enough money to have to make a full living off of just this show. Like, it's just, it's just not. And so, Guy getting the role of Uno and being like, I love, this is my favorite moment for the podcast when he's like, I was like, sweet, I'm set for the series. Like, I have a job, even if I'm not in even just a few episodes per season, like I'm going to be in the show for the duration. And then he gets the script when he's like, I'm dead. What? Or he was hearing it from like props masters who were like, I've seen your dead face. Like, I know what's happening. Like, so. And
that's a rough way to find out too.
God, it is. It's so normal though, but it's just, it's terrible.
I did love how he's just like, Rafe, I know, don't have a go at the costume person. Like, they didn't know I didn't know.
Right.
Like, I love how he said, I have to reassure Rafe because,
yes.
So it's not a leak,
exactly.
So you spoiled him.
Exactly. But it's sweet because, and also like, but also because Guy is a fan, like this is just what makes it so special and so wonderful. And also why him like flitting around from like all the things this weekend and being such a big part of the con, this is someone who's a fan of the series. Like, it's such a full circle moment for him coming out. And he's like, of course I'm going to give back to the fandom and be as much a part of it because I'm in the fandom. Like, that's just a really special part of it. And so for him, knowing that, okay, I'm a hero of the horn, I could literally not show up again until season 8. So that job security that was part of the like the draw of like bring me back is also as much of that is just like, I want to be a part of it all the way through the end. I want to just be able to come back and I want to, be connected to it throughout. And that's super special, even if we don't see him much between now and then, which I don't know. He better be Guy Lacane and he better be in Teleran Riyadh is all I'm saying. He better be there.
That's fair.
I want to see him given the cold shoulder to Nynaeve. I refuse to speak to you. But I love that. I loved his story. And him saying like, when he met Brandon Sanderson recently and got to talk to him about it, and they were kind of like, taking shared credit. And Brandon was like, I kept putting hashtag in there every time I made a comment on the scripts. And it's great. I mean, like you had an author pulling for him. He probably had, he had the fandom pulling for him, which we didn't know to pull for him back then, but obviously we did after the fact. It's pretty special. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, very special. I remember when it was revealed and I was like, you sneaky bastard or something to that effect. And because I think I said something to that effect. He led me on to believe that he survived season 3 prior to the show coming out, and then he died. And I was just like, I went into that scene, be like, nah, he's fine, it's fine. Also, one quick side note just occurred to me. I'm sure everyone else watching and obviously people in the room laughed when it happened, but I loved when he was just like, that fucking scene of my wife kills me, because I said that. I was like, what a fucking day. Like, he's there staring at his wife and she's like dead, you know?
Yep.
And then he said to me, well, it was like the worst kept secret in the fandom, wasn't it? Like everyone kind of just assumed it was going to be a thing, and then it
we were all
actually was a-
speculating before. Yeah. Mhm.
and it was a thing. So it's
Yeah.
just Meg, what was your favorite moment in that panel?
I mean, I definitely had a few, but probably my favorite one was hearing the story about Rosamund, staying on set during filming that whole Faldara scene, when normally your number one on the call sheet would, bow out at that point. And just like, I've heard a lot of things from like the cast, like how she's really like mentoring a lot of the new actors and like young actors and all of that. And, I just feel like every single person in the crew and the cast is like putting more than 100% of themselves into everything that they're doing. And I just feel like we're really lucky. And like, Rafe and statisticians say that we're statistically the best fandom, but I think we have statistically the best cast and crew.
Like
sure,
that.
too.
Yes. Oh, let's make
Yeah.
those t-shirts too.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it's true. It's true. Like the way he described it as a leadership role, which I thought was really beautiful. So Rosamund, of course, she's an EP on the show, and she's obviously been involved from a very early stage. And both she and Rafe lead from such a place of kindness and such a place of inclusion and such a place of respect for the people who are doing the work and for the source of the work, the source material. And it to me, it's obvious, and it comes through in everything that they're doing. And I loved that. I loved that story. I mean, I've been on a lot of sets, and I was actually trained in an acting technique that was designed to combat that first person on the call sheet disappearing, because I worked in the San Francisco market where if you get a job, it's great, but you're literally considered barely more than an extra, even if you're crying on screen or your child's getting kidnapped or something. And so but you have to create all of that emotion with the script reader, who's the script supervisor, who's just reading the lines back to you. And when they're on those reverse shots, and I was trained in an acting technique that was like, how do you deal with that and still create all of that emotion? And you can technique it, but it is a different story if you're actually able to experience that. And to hear that story of how she stayed on set and she was there for those actors, that's part of what creates the authenticity and the true relationships that we're seeing between these actors on screen. And it's she's not getting paid extra for that, like she's not released probably for the day, so she's probably still going to get paid whether she's in her trailer or whether she's out there, but she's not getting paid extra to stay out there. And it's such a sign of respect for your fellow actors, but it's also a respect for the source material, and it's a respect for the process and for giving us, the audience, the best thing we can see on screen. It warmed my heart. I loved her already. I love her more now.
I'm going to ask you a question, Jen, like specifically like your knowledge now. How often does a number one on the call sheet hang around like that? Like the way you've spoken about it, the way that Guy was talking about it, it feels like it's not a common thing.
It's not common at all.
Yeah.
And and I think there are very generous actors out there, and there are generous stars out there. So it's not that it's always like, oh, if you're too big or if you're a star, you're not going to stay. It does sometimes depend on the film, the show, the crew. I mean, if it's on a film, it's not as hard for you to stay because you're there for a limited period of time. So it's like it's a 6-week film shoot. I mean, let's not talk about Lord of the Rings. Like those are a different thing. But if it's a 6-week film shoot, or even if it's a 10-week film shoot or something, and you're like, well, okay, where am I going to go? We're in Tunisia. Like, I could go back to my tent, but it's not as big of a deal. So like you're there, you're stuck there anyway. And you're like, I only have to do this for 6 weeks of being that present. But when it's a TV series, especially one that's been shot in like sections and segments and expanded over a period of time, especially if it's a TV series when you're like shooting in Burbank and you're like, I can get home in time to watch my show. Then it's a little different, yes. If you're able to like leave set and go on with your life or drive your kids to the doctors or whatever, get on with things, like that's also another reason why they might not always stay. And especially when it's like, I'm going to be back on this set tomorrow morning. Like it's, we're just here in the location on, we're on the Disney lot. But so I would say it happens more often when you are on location, when you're away from things, and when you're there. And she's, afforded that of like, where am I going to go? Back to my trailer? Like,
right.
But even so, there are I would probably say if you ask the percentage of number ones on the call sheet who actually stay consistently, it's in the under 10%. You know, like it's just not that common. And part of it is because they're like, I need to go get, stay into my character and go back and like do prep for tomorrow or whatever. And so they're back in their trailer because they're prepping and they're doing whatever else they need to do to get ready for tomorrow's shoot, or maybe they're training. Sometimes it's, if there's stunt training that going on, they have to leave to go do stunt training, but it's not common. And this is a situation that Guy was describing of literally just her staying because she knew it was important to do so. And also, I really want to hear the story now of Rosamund telling the story of how, like, early in her career, she had the opposite thing happen and why she decided that it was important to stay. But it's true. And it's like, it's one of those stories that gives actors a bad name, like, I only want green M&Ms or whatever. Like, it's the same kind of thing. You're like, I want to be in my trailer. And, not all actors are jerks like that. So
now I have two questions. To be fair, the next person who is aware of this story, who interviews Rosamund or gets to ask her a question, is going to be like, hey, please tell us your side of that story, like from when you were younger. I'm going to envy that person, whoever that ends up being. Please let it be us. Let it be us. Rosamund, come on, come talk to us, please. But now also going to ask, like, just any cast, like anybody involved in the show, like what's the craziest writer request on the Wheel of Time?
What are the origins of that name?
Because it's an addendum to a contract. So the boilerplate is the contract of like what everybody get, here's what you get, and then here's your rate, and here's your hourly, and here's your blah blah blah. But then a rider is like, this isn't in everybody's contract, but I want a rider attached to it. So it's like it rides alongside of a contract. I think that's the legal probably reason behind it.
Okay.
So we have a lot of lawyers in the fandom. Please correct me because I sound like I know what I'm talking about, and I don't at all. But Megan's used to that. I've been doing that my whole life. I always sound like I know what I'm talking about when I make up shit. So sorry.
I got it. Okay. Now this I must have missed this watching the panel because I did skip a couple bits for time purposes. But Guy says he listens to War Pigs before filming to get into character, as well as talking about the sheet of all the Uno moments that he'd made that his young child decided to delete the Rowan deleted. By the way, I fucking love that one of his kids is called Rohan, like spelled like Rohan the country from Lord of the Rings. I fucking love that.
Amazing.
That's such a cool thing, isn't it? Like, I don't know. I'm curious if anyone else listens to a track. Like, what do you think? What do you think Maddie listens to become a Gawain now? Meg. Oh, why am I doing this all day? I've spoken to Mel all day now. It's gonna keep calling Mel all night.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna keep happening. Megan likes it. She's like, I want to be Mel. That's fine.
I do.
You need to meet Mel's fucking brilliant. You both need to drag Mel to WhatCon to meet the both of you. She's gonna
please.
Yes.
But yeah,
I don't know what she would listen to. I don't know.
A lot of actors. We can, when we have Gus on again, we'll have Gus speak to this because he's a more current actor than I am. But a lot of actors have like a playlist of either a playlist that's just like a mood for a character or a playlist for specific scenes. Like I need this for this scene. And I love that he was like, for Uno, it was just War Pigs for no matter what scene.
Very fitting.
Uno, and it's very fitting because Uno. It fits his name. Uno is a very single-minded kind of guy. He's a one-note kind of guy, and so it makes sense that that's like he's got the thing that he's listening to. Now I want to we should play a game where we do a like pick a playlist and like come up with songs that we think that the actors would listen to for their.
That's fun.
Future game.
It reminds me of the interview I saw for Alvaro Morte when he was describing playing the professor in Money Heist, because I don't want to butcher the actual Spanish name. And he talks about the way he gets dressed is how he gets into the mindset of the professor. And it's not a case of like, put on my pants, put on my shirt, put on my tie. It's literally a case of like, the pants go on, but I haven't done them up, and then like the shirt comes on, but nothing's buttoned. And then maybe like, I put the belts on, and then I button the collars. And it was like this really out of sequence, bizarre way of putting on the entire outfit of the professor. But it was like his step-by-step process for getting into the mindset of how the professor does things, because he's extremely particular. He's very meticulous. He's very detail orientated. So he's like does things very specifically because it helps his mind, and that's what he did. I was like, I remember there was an Instagram Q&A with Alvaro and Wraith, and I actually you get dressed in a particular way to become the professor. Do you do that to play Logain? And I never got to ask that. So yeah, like now this needs. How does everyone get like ready? Do they have music? Do they have particular? No, maybe don't ask everybody. How do you get dressed for a scene? That seems weird.
But I love that. Actually, feels like that. Also feels to me like it's very Spanish. I have no idea if it is. This is how I'm interpreting it. It's very Spanish because there's a British school of acting and an American school of acting, and if you boil them down to their like simplest, and everyone will say there's 1,000 exceptions, and of course there are. But if you boil them down to their very simplest, Americans act from the inside out and are trained to act from the inside out, and Brits are trained to act from the outside in. So you put on a costume, and that turns you into King George. But if you're playing, George Washington, I'm picking American Georges to use this. You would like, what is his inner monologue, and what is he feeling, and how are his emotions, and where did he come from, and like what's his background? So that's super simplified. All y'all know that there's like 1,000 other ways to do it, and not everybody is specific to that. But like when I was being trained as an actor, we were kind of like, this is the 2 different ways you do it. And there is something so important about putting a costume on and like embodying the physicality of that person. I did a role once where I was playing a model, and it was a short film, very short scene, but I had to wear.
Was that the bathroom one?
Yes, and I was wearing high heels because I don't normally walk. It's
hitting that for a discussion later.
Yes,
that's
I have a bathroom
one.
short film and a bathroom play. So Megan knows.
Wow,
bathroom story. Apparently, you get typecast. But I was walking high heels, and they asked me to. We were walking on a rubber floor that had little holes in it, and my heels kept getting stuck in the holes. And the director was like, "Let's just remove the boots. Let's just have you do it barefoot." And I was like, "I will not be walking like a model if you take me out of these shoes. I don't think I can do it." And he was like, "No, you'll be fine." And we did one take, and he was like, "Put the damn shoes back on. We'll figure it out." Because it changed who I was, and for animation, like when Zemeckis was doing Beowulf, which is not a great film, but that's okay. When he was doing Beowulf, we went to visit the set. Everything's digital. They all did it in mocap. They did it in like full mocap suits.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. But so we were like, it's fully animated. And then they were showing us costume designs, and I was like, oh, those are going to be gorgeous when we see them on screen animated. They're going to be fully built in CG. And he said, oh, no, we're building those costumes. Not Zemeckis. Zemeckis was not there. I was talking to one of the EPs, and he said, no, we're building them. And I said, you are? And he said, yeah. Like, how can Robin Wright learn to walk like the queen of wherever the queen of Beowulf lives, is if she doesn't actually know what it likes to have that heavy drape on and that like heavy cloak behind it. And he was like, so we will run the scenes in costume and then take them out of costume to do the mocap. But it was fascinating. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I love that. Anyway, I love Alvaro Morte, but that's a great story.
Yeah, just carrying on from that tangent a little bit. It must be just how British people are, or at least how we are this side of the Atlantic. Because I've, it's funny, the few occasions where I suppose you could say I've quote acted, not really. I needed a prop or a costume to feel like the part. So I did one of the skits on stage at Welcome last year.
Mm-hmm.
When we practiced it, we just, we didn't have anything. We were just the three of us stood around, in all honesty, about 2 or 3 minutes before we were going to go on stage. Because we just hadn't had a chance to get together to actually talk about it. So 95% of what you saw on stage was made up there on the spot. But I didn't feel like, when we talked about over the bits, I was just like, oh, so I'll do this and do that. It didn't feel like I was the part of that, frustrated director until I was on stage with the script in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And a few times I've done cosplay and stuff. Like, it sounds silly, but like I've dressed up as like Captain America, for example, like from the first movie. I have a shield and leather jacket, the whole 9 yards. When I put it on, I was just like, I walked differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. I hadn't actually thought about that until you talked about, the heels, and, you're like, I can't be a model unless you actually put me in fucking heels,
right?
So yeah.
I remember Zoe talking about Nynaeve's belt pouch, and
right,
back in first season, and she was just like the detail and the work of like, this is where I keep my herbs, and these are the little vials go into these little things. It's like, that even though physically, like, that might not even be like a weight, it's not like wearing a sword belt, right? But it's
Mhm.
still, it's there, and you have it placed in a place where you can very quickly, easily reach into it and grab it, like, because that's what she would do on a normal daily basis. And
Yeah.
those things are incredibly important, and it's part of why I like voice actors who go into a booth and have no costuming on, and sometimes don't even have a visual of what their character looks like,
or anyone to act against either.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
often, and that's magic. Voice acting is that's why not everybody who's a screen actor is a good voice actor. It's a completely different game, and it requires a
Yeah.
different level of imagination to create all of that in your head, and then not be able to even, like, you can't always physically act out as much of it as you want if you have to be close to mic, and so
Yeah. That's a very good point. Guy is, like I said earlier, just getting around to see as many people as possible, because he is just that generous, and that he's been dying to come to conventions for years now. Ever since he got hired, he's just like, I've begged it took 3 occasions of asking Amazon before I got a yes for him to come to MercuryCon. But he is like getting around to all the shows. He was on Threefold Talk earlier today, on recording day. You both caught that, I believe.
Yes.
I didn't catch all of it. I caught part of it, and I haven't seen the whole thing yet. Yes.
That's fine. Did you catch some of the theater sphere questions, Jen?
No, I didn't.
Well, you didn't catch any of them? Oh, I feel like if I talked about it now, they'd be like,
no, talk about it. It's fine. Spoil me. I'll watch anyway.
All right. Meg, what was your favorite answer to the questions you gave? Because a few of them were quite funny, weren't they?
I mean, yeah, the Trolloc one that we were talking about earlier with his face, like,
yeah.
What was that? Are Trolloc's hot? Was that the question?
Yeah. So, folks, if you're not familiar, my Thursday night live stream show, it's an IEL theme show called Threefold Talk. If you're not familiar with it, and we do, every time we have a guest on, we do Theatre Spear, which is, we have a set of 10 questions that are all IEL themed that we randomly pull out and ask. And sometimes, they're very simple things. Who are you going to take, Guy Shine? Who would you take on a raid with you? Who's the wise one of your life? And sometimes they're a little crazy. And on Threefold Talk, we developed this obsession that Trollocs are hot, based on the bird Trolloc, in effect. That's it. But it became one of the 10 questions that we ask. We do ask specific questions to the person who's on the show. But we do these ones as well, because they're unusual, and we don't want people to get the same questions all the time. So we asked him, are Trollocs hot? Because that's the question. Trollocs are hot, true or false? And we've always had people, kind of like react nicely and be like, not really my thing, but if it's what you like, go for it. Or sometimes, yes, whatever. It was funny. No one ever reacts like, you've just asked me the most unusual question in the world that I would never expect to ever get. And it was just this look on his face, which you can only see if you're watching this video, folks. So if you're listening to the podcast and you want to see it, you want to go in to this point, 40 minutes in or whatever. He just sort of looked very astounded and just sort of pulled back a bit, like, huh? And, it's like, no, Trollocs are not hot. And then obviously Metal Lair or get the daggers out and be like, wow, that might be.
And then I think he quoted Ayula and said, the only good Trolloc is a dead Trolloc, or something like that.
Yeah, he did. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, I love the story that he shared. And I want to shout out the real Uno, who's actually in chat, just turned up a few minutes ago, who I can't remember whether they got this story out of Guy or it was just through a conversation or something, but about how in episode 2, I think, where they get the Shan turn up in a Tuan's mill and they just get blasted by the power and they'll go flying backwards. How basically he just kept kicking Masima. And he was like, the quote is, if you get a chance to smack Masima, you should smack Masima.
And then he was like, Arnis likes pain.
Yeah, and Arnis likes it. And it was this whole thing. I was like, this is absolutely brilliant. And this is the bit. And we play a water game. When we do a live show at JordanCon, folks, or any of the conventions, we get guests on and they play the water game. Because spilling water is, it earns you toe. It's wasteful, especially for IEL. But, no one should waste water, just full stop.
As Megan's taking a drink of her cocktail, thinking the same thing about cocktails. Go on.
Yeah.
No wasted.
No wasting.
No. I have much G.
And so we basically get two people. They each have a cup full of water, and then there's a cup in the center, and they have to take turns filling the center cup with water until one person fills it too much and it spills, and then they're the token wetlander, and the other person is G filled ale. And so we had Guy doing it, but with like a rotating wheel of foldies hopping in and out of the live chat. It's just like initially he's like, okay, well I should have an eye patch to play this. So he like put a hand over his eye and then like tried to do it with depth perception issues and managed to do it. But every time it came around to him doing it, he like upgraded. So then it was just like, well, now I need to do it like with both my eyes covered. Double eye patch. So we had like Leia be one eye patch while he did the other, and then he had to be like standing up, and then he had to be like. There was so much. He just every time
he was trying to end the game.
Was trying to end the game, yeah. And he kept getting it right. And in the end, I think Brother Zachariah was the last foldy, and unfortunately, he overfilled the cup. So Guy Roberts won. But he's just such a fun guy. He is, he's just so extra. But he's so generous and so fun. I'm glad he's getting to meet everybody. He's going to be so tired.
He's going to be so tired, but it's so worth it. Like as someone who is also a fan as well as on the show, I can only imagine that there's a lot of pinching himself going on about it. I'm like, and not to say that he's wonderful. He's amazing. And he's like, but there's just got to be like that. Wow. This is like something that I've, like he said, he started reading books when he was 19. Like, I get it. Me too. Like
Uno is his favorite character. And it was like a sort of a dream when he got the role. And I won't say where I heard it, but I did hear that the role was kind of like, sorry, I just live chat. Uno has just put in, not Guy Roberts, but Cat, the real Uno. Rob, are you calling Guy cheap? No, I'm not calling Guy cheap. What I'm saying is he doesn't cost the same as Rosamund Pike for obvious reasons. And also because he lives in Prague, I don't have to pay airfare, which is, extortionate regularly flying from anywhere else, let alone the fact that, you fly these people in first class. The role was kind of like written for Guy to play in effect. It's pretty incredible. Yeah. Was there anything else you guys have seen from JordanCon with Guy and stuff that you want to talk about?
Actually, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if we talked about this or anybody else had, but like the fact that he's, I guess not confirmed, but potentially Guy Dalkane makes me wonder if like those scenes where we see with Perrin and Brigida, like her keeping him away from the Tower of Genji, if we're going to see those instead between him and Guy Dalkane /
Ooh. Oh, I love this.
Because they built that relationship,
Yes. And he talked so much about how important that was and how he was putting so much on Perrin. I loved him playing it like he knew he was a hero. Love that.
Yes.
That's really interesting, Meg. I think that's a fantastic theory. And I would frankly love to see that because we've now created this relationship between Perrin and Avienda. So he's got like a woman warrior that he's friends with in a way that we don't necessarily see in the books. So to then, I'm sorry, but I also feel like this is going to potentially is that going to change? Is that going to give us another reason not to bring Gaul in? Bane and Chiad, please don't kill me.
I know. I thought the same thing.
But it's a really good theory, Meg. But it also is another version of do we need it? And now I'm like down the road, and I'm like bringing Guy Dalkane into the last battle in Tel'aran'rhiod.
Right. Yes.
Is what I'm kind of getting at. But that's fascinating.
No, I thought the same thing, but I didn't want to say it out loud.
Megan,
wow,
we haven't done our. I'm sorry, I'm going to turn this into a regular threefold talk, a regular three-wheeling.
Oh my God, we just want to be threefold.
It's true. We are threefold talk wannabes, which is why
there's a lot of threes going on currently. Yes, so it's yeah.
But we haven't done the plug yet, so this is just another plug for getting me into the writers' room. For Wheel of Time. Because that is an adaptation that I would like to be in charge of seeing that happen. And not saying I'm not putting Gaul in the show. I'm just saying I think we can increase the role of Guy Dalkane if it is in fact Uno, because we've now established this relationship. I love the idea because honestly, he's a character in the books that I feel like I want to know more of. Right. So
and we barely see him.
Yeah.
I think there is space to still bring Gaul in, I think. but just not where Gaul fits in the books. I
Mhm.
think you could bring Gaul in with it sounds silly, but I think you could give Gaul to Rand
I
because
like that.
you know he could be you could you could almost merge like Ruach and Gaul a little bit
That's what I was gonna say too. Is you could
and make like take the relationship Gaul has with Perrin and
Mhm.
give that relationship to Ruach and Rand instead.
Yeah.
So he's still Ruach, but they have that relationship throughout. Oh my god! And then with Ruach's ending, like had the emotional impact there.
That's the heart that I have to say. No one's ever asked me. I think my least favorite scene in the entire series, and that might be it. Not like I don't like it, like destroyed me.
Yeah,
destroyed me.
It just happens so quick as well.
It happens so quick, and it destroys me.
And everybody loves Daddy Ruark, so
this is true. I really think we could, you could give the friendship arc of Gaul to because you've given Avienda to Perrin, so there's still a connect, and you've already established connection between Avienda, Bane, and Shead. So you could still have that trio go off the two rivers. That it keeps them in, it keeps them valid, or you don't even have all of them go off, but you can still have some of the connection there. And then you can give the friendship and the connection vibe that Gaul has with Perrin to Rand and Ruark instead. Yeah, it's a doable thing, right? So yeah, like we like to do. Jen, we've given you the idea. Let's get you in that writer's room and get that story produced.
I'll be pitching it.
Yeah, I love that.
And I need a little bit of a nod for that as well.
Yes.
I
promise I will not be like, I totally thought of this on my own because I'm such a genius.
Do you know, I have a fun segue into what else I wanted to talk to based on that comment. Thank you, Meg. Because I kind of said to someone like, oh, you need to give me credit for this idea. Because last weekend on Sunday, I went to the Olivier Awards. And if you're not familiar with the Olivier Awards are, folks, they are in effect the British Tonys. They are the British Oscars, but for stage work instead. So imagine them being British instead of American, and for theatre shows instead of movies, and that's what they are. And I went to that because Sulin works for the company that puts it together, and got us tickets. And myself and Elliot went, and we had the most incredible time watching it. The performances were amazing. Donal was on stage doing Hadestown. Like there was Sophia Cornado was nominated for things, like there was loads of people up for stuff. Nicole Scherzinger was there. I was like, okay, I didn't even realize she was in a show, but she won Best Actress in a Musical.
Amazing.
And it was a great night. And then we went to the after party, which was at the Natural History Museum, folks.
That's
now,
amazing.
if you've ever been to Natural History, the event was at the Royal Albert Hall, which I've never been inside of, but is fucking phenomenal. But the Natural History Museum, just a couple blocks around, like a couple of streets around the corner, is an also incredible building, stunning. Like you walk into the Grand Hall and there is a blue whale skeleton hanging off the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
There used to be a like a brontosaurus or something stupid like that in the lobby, but he's on tour. I'm not even making that up. He went on tour around the world. Of course he would. So they've got the blue whale instead. Now at this after party is special guests, people that got like special tickets, obviously anyone who was nominated, and like their plus ones, and then people who run the event and people who donate to theatre and stage, producers, executives, things of that nature. So, it's not the full crowd that was in the building. And, in theory, people will be there. So like Hannah Waddington, who is the host, she's hilarious. She was wandering around. Her hair is so much shorter in real life than you actually think it is, but she's absolutely brilliant. She's an amazing host.
Did she play the Septa in
she's
Game of
Shane.
Thrones? That was
Shane, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I thought
Shane.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
that's exactly who it is. She's absolutely amazing. Now, if you think about it, Hadestown's crew, having gone to the party and being, cast of theatre shows, get to go to the after party. We were like, oh, maybe we get to meet Donal. And then on their Instagram, they posted that they had a different after party. So we didn't expect to see them. And we were like, oh, this really sucks. And literally, as we were going out the door, we were the last ones to be hustled out, by the way, at like 20 past 1 in the morning or something.
That is my way to do a party. I'm there with you.
I blame Sulin. She had to go to the VIP section that I didn't have access to, but she does because she helps run it, to get like my jacket and things like that, the stuff that she put there. We're going out the building, and then she turns to me, she's like, Rob, look who's behind you. I'm just like, what? Look behind you. And walking out behind me, no word of a lie, Donal fucking Finn.
I didn't know it was right at the end. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was like right at the end. And she's like, I was like, we need to go over and say hello. She's like, I can't. Like, I need to be professional. I was like, I don't. I walk over as we're trying to exit the Natural History Museum and go down the big like a walkway to leave the whole premises. Right. Security guards kind of like, gently ushering us out the door. And I was like, hi, Donal. I'm a big fan. Sorry. Just want to say hello, meet and blah, blah, and just got chatting to him. And folks, if you're watching now, you can see I've just put a picture of myself, Sulin, and Donal as we're on our way out. This literally like a security guard behind my left shoulder. Get out. Like, get out. And we got chatting to him as we walked down the walkway, and he was just so nice. Genuinely fun guy. I said how we'd missed him during previews. Initially he was just like, oh yeah, I was ill that week. I said, yeah, and you told our friends you were filming in South Africa. He's like, was I? I was like, they went like the week after and you said yes. And he's like, yeah, I was in South Africa filming, but then I was ill afterwards as well. And I was like, that's fair. And like I said, how we were coming back and stuff, and on May 11th for a different group of us, and he was so excited. So yeah, that was a huge amount of fun. Just the whole event was great, but yeah, they were just walking out the door and there's Donal Finn, like also the last person to leave the party,
right?
How mad, like
because very mad, very mad,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, like that in that picture, he's looking very mad. I mean, it's obviously he's in like a modern suit, but he is looking. It's a very Matt with embroidery kind of vibe that he's giving there.
Yeah,
absolutely. A little more embroidery. You can never have too much embroidery.
Yeah, a little more lace. So that was but as we were then carrying on down the street, and Donal got in a car and got driven off to wherever he was staying, the rest of us we were staying nearby hotels, so we just walked. I got chatting to someone, and I was like, hey, he was a partner of someone else who worked at the event, and I forget his name right now if I'm honest, but we got chatting. I was like, so what do you do? Are you just hit like me? You're just a +1, or you work in theater? He's like, oh, I'm a producer. I was like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, yeah. So you always wanted to be in theater? Is that your thing? He's like, nah, I was a basketball player when I was younger. I was like, oh, that's a big flex. He's yeah, so I love basketball, but got 18 and I wasn't good enough, so did theater instead. I was like, fun. So I said, you gonna merge those and do like a basketball stage show? I mean, he's just like, yeah, but I mean, how'd you do that? And I was just like, Coach Carter. He's just like, that would be amazing. And then his partner showed up, and we were at that stage discussing like the logistics of getting someone who could act on stage but play basketball as well, because that doesn't seem like a big crossover there between those two things.
No.
Right.
And she's just like, well, we just get and now his name just get Zac Efron to play it. And I was just like, at the time in my drunken state, I was like, that's amazing. But then in my non-drunken state, I thought back and be like, doesn't give me the right kind of vibes for neighborhoods of the gentleman in the story of Coach Carter.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe not, but I'm sure it can be fun. So if in a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, there's this like massive stage phenomenon based on Coach Carter, apparently I'm going to get credit for it. So
I love it. You will be at the premiere, and you will be at the after parties and the VIP parties.
That's what his girlfriend said. I think her name was Harriet. Harriet and Joe, I think, were the couple. She was just like, you get a credit. I was like, just give me a ticket. I'll just come see the show. Like, and I come to the party. Like, that'll be enough. Like,
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's a great story. I love that.
Yeah. So that was a long way around, but that was how the segue of the credit thing.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
All right. I think it's time to wrap up. Shall we play our game?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, folks, if you're new here, which I assume most of you are, you don't listen to the podcast because we are still very new. This is only episode 4. We like to end every show. Almost end. We have a couple of things we actually end.
Penultimately end.
But we're like penultimately end with a game of Never Have I Ever. And we each play as a character from the books. And we spin a massive wheel that I obviously have prepped and ready to put up on screen.
Obviously.
And we randomly pick out Never Have I Ever's and decide if our character would drink or not drink there.
Did we
So
in fact we decided who we were playing this week as the three of them, but we didn't actually assign them out yet, did we?
Well, no, I mean Rob.
No.
Okay,
Rob-
so we decided again about in honor of Guy Roberts and Uno that will all be 3 Shinarans. So Uno, Ingtar, and Massima. So Rob, you should obviously be Uno.
Well, yeah, I was hoping you would say that.
Mhm.
I was like, if I'm not Uno, I'm going to be a little little annoyed.
Megan, are you Ingtaring it or are you Hatsima-ing it? I mean, book, Hatsima. Who are you going to be?
Man, if it was book, show
Book your-
Hatsima.
Okay,
Yeah,
you're gonna be
I'm thinking
Hatsima.
Hatsima.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Hatsima.
Specifically Hatsima. I mean, I feel like Hatsima drinks for everything, but okay, let's have some fun.
Mm-hmm. For the light and Shanoa.
Yes. Never have I ever gotten seriously hung over. I mean, Jesus Christ, if Uno doesn't drink to that, what is the world coming to?
I'm pretty sure all Shinarans have probably done that.
I don't know about Ingtar.
Ingtar. No, I feel like it is you. Ingtar was a
Yeah,
was a scallywag.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how many of these are we gonna do? Like half a dozen of these?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So, and folks, you can send us never have I ever's to put on the list. Never have I ever bribed someone. Oh,
Ingtar's drinking.
Yeah, for sure.
Ingtar. Yes.
I don't think Massima would.
No,
he
I
just
feel
takes
like
bribes.
I feel like he bullies someone.
Yes,
Mhm.
but not
Yeah.
bribed. No.
I'm trying to debate: is Uno gray enough to take to give a bribe?
I don't know.
No.
I kind of don't think
He just
so.
like beat the crap out of you instead.
Yeah,
don't
I think
he's
he's
gonna bribe
he like
anybody.
bullies you into submission. Yeah, actually. So okay. Never have I ever played hooky from school or work. Oh, I think Uno has done that.
For
Not
sure.
necessarily. Yeah,
Mhm.
like from
Mhm.
I
school,
feel like
not
Massima
from
has
work.
too high standards to do that. So I'm
Ingtar has. Ingtar has. Again, like you're right. Going back to those earlier days of Ingtar, but also he's had to skip out to take a meeting.
Yeah,
If you know, you know.
yeah. If you know, you know. Yeah, exactly. So,
Jessica has a good one.
oh
we
yes,
should
nice.
do hers next.
Never have I ever lied to law enforcement.
Uno's
Ingtar's drinking
definitely
up.
drinking, and Ingtar is.
Yeah.
Massima.
Yeah, I mean, depends on your definition of law enforcement, doesn't it?
I suppose.
Like, I can see Uno lying to white cloaks, but are they law enforcement if you're not an Amadicia?
Mm,
That's a good point.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. Uno, I think would he might.
yeah, we'll go with yes.
All right, we're doing Jessica.
Yeah,
let's do hers. Jessica's once. Jessica's put in, never have I ever stolen someone else's horse.
I feel like all three of them would under the right circumstances.
Yes. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
all of us drink situation. Yeah.
All right, yeah.
I love this. And yeah, I love how Uno's agreeing with me. Yes, Uno would skip out on school, but not work. He's
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's fair.
yeah. All right. Again, if we get one of the pops up, there's some valid folks. I removed them before when I did this last time. Never have I ever cheated on someone. Oh,
Ingtar's. This is the only time Ingtar hasn't drunk yet, but
yeah.
Ingtar's not drinking on this one.
I feel like all
They're
of them hold
Shinarans.
women on too high of a pedestal. to do
Yeah.
that, you know.
I think this is a free pass for the guys.
Yeah.
I would agree. All right. Couple more. Never have I ever used someone else's toothbrush. All right. I mean, Sean Chan travel on the world.
You mean Shinarans?
Shinarans. So yeah. Yeah. Did I say Sean Chan? I said Sean Chan.
Yes.
Shinarans. Someone's put Sean Chan in chat, and I'm just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like these are guys who are on they're on tour
On the
together.
road.
Like they're tour on a military tour together, and I think they'll use whoever's toothbrush they can find.
Yeah.
If they actually feel like brushing.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good point.
Yeah. Or they'll just be like, I just won't brush my teeth this morning. I forgot my toothbrush. Oh well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Okay.
I feel like this is a little bit of a camp thing, Megan. This is that's
I don't do that.
a nod
no.
to us.
All right. The last one. Never have I ever won the lottery.
Now, are we talking medieval lottery where winning the lottery means you get fed to the dragon? Not the dragon reborn, but like a lottery in medieval times would have a different and not a negative, potentially a negative connotation, right?
This is true.
Yeah. So just,
This is true.
I don't know who they're
I'm so
sacrificing.
confused.
I don't think they're sacrificing anybody in Shinar, but
Yeah, I don't think so. All right.
Right, find another.
Let's just find that one, yeah, because I think that one was a bit too goofy to finish on.
Odd, yeah.
Never have I ever drunk dialed my ex.
yes, I like this actually.
Yeah. Let's imagine for
I
a
think
moment
Massima would.
phones. Yeah, let's imagine mobile phones exist in Wheel of Time, and oh god, I think if Uno doesn't drunk dial his ex, he loves too much. I think Uno loves too much. He would just get rip roaringly drunk and then call his ex to be like, "I'm sorry," or "You were right, fuck off."
Yeah,
It doesn't specify drunk down my ex and then gush down the phone. So,
yeah.
Inktar,
Yeah.
I don't see.
This is another one. I think Inktar's not drunk dialing. Yeah.
No.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. That was fun.
Love it.
I
Love
love
it.
that.
That's a good one.
At one point, we'll have to have Udo on. Like, you have to have Guy on, and then he can just debate all these things. It would be hilarious.
That would be fun. We should definitely play this game at WatCon for sure.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll get him drink. We'll get the whiskey out. We'll get him drinking with us. So
Yeah.
It'd be hilarious.
I won't have just coffee on that day.
Yay!
I'm over caffeinated now though. If that makes you feel any better.
I can believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we have two things to finish off on. One of which we kind of didn't do fully last episode.
I know, but we
pick up on
kind of
this?
said it early, so
We did.
we kind of get a pass. But we
I feel like we get a pass as well. Yeah. So folks, every week, every time we record, we like to decide who was the third wheel this week, because that's kind of like a bit of a thing. And then last episode, we decided, was it you, Jen, last time?
Yeah, and I can't remember why though.
That's what I'm struggling. I can't remember. Do you remember why, Meg?
Oh, it was April birthdays,
No.
wasn't it?
Oh, April birthdays.
yeah,
that was it.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And we haven't even said today that Rob's birthday is coming up. Happy
Shh.
birthday,
crap. Yeah, 4 days.
Rob! Happy birthday, Rob.
No. Look, if you got yourself a snack water calendar, you know that there's a certain day that's the greatest day in the world, and we'll just leave it there. Most because Brian and I put the calendars together, and Brian and I have exactly the same birthday. So,
Exactly.
but yeah. So we like to decide who's the third wheel. Who was the third wheel this week?
I don't know.
This is a tough one. We were all like
Yeah.
really, really in sync this week. Yeah. Although I'm not drinking anything, so I could take it.
Yeah, so maybe I'm the third wheel because I'm the only one actually drinking alcohol.
This is true. Yeah.
Oh,
you're the
that's
only
right.
one-
Yours
yeah.
is not. Yours is not.
Yeah.
Right. I was thinking you had something in there. All right.
No, I'm just regular coffee. So Meg is the third wheel this week because she is the only one
Yeah.
actually drinking alcohol, despite
Yes.
the premise that we would
It's
all.
pretty much
I
a
love-
constant you can rely on. So
I love how when we were like hashing ideas for this podcast and the drinking came up and be like, yeah, Rob will cook every week or make the cocktail, or Meg will design a cocktail and maybe Rob will cook, but we'll all make the cocktail each week and then every week without fail, except I think the first week.
First week, yeah.
The first
made
week you made it, Jen, and then since then it's Meg every week, and the rest Jen and I are just like, we're drinking this today. Like last time we all had alcohol. There was a
Yeah.
Guinness, there was an ale, and then
Yes.
there was a cocktail. So
Yes.
you know,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll catch you next week, Meg.
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll plan in advance, and I'll like buy in what's required or make what's required if it's a syrup or something. So yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right. So then that's our penultimate ending, right?
Yes.
I think we called the game the penultimate ending. So that was the
Yeah.
second penultimate ending. This
penultimate.
is the penultimate ending.
Yeah. So, and now this is the actual ending.
Actual
folks.
ultimate ending. Yeah, we like to end every episode on a bit of water positivity. Just something in the world that is that reminds us that people are good.
Yeah.
And Rob, you got ours this week, right?
Yes, I did. I witnessed something on the tram. And folks, just to be clear, this doesn't, we basically don't ever make this Wheel of Time based. It's literally just something good to remind you that, you know, people are good. I was on the tram going to work a few days back. And for anyone who's not aware, which is probably most people, I have like an issue of my ankle that is being managed, but it's taking a lot of time. I walk with a cane a lot of the time, just for security purposes now, because it's gotten better, but originally so I could actually walk because it was really rough at one point last year. Anyway, so I got on the tram. It's a little busy. Most of the seats are taken. In fact, pretty much all the seats taken. And this person, offers me their seat. And, I only take the seat if someone offers it to me when I'm having a bad day. And I was like, no, I'm fine. Like, just, you're good. Sit there. The next stop two elderly vets got on. One of them with a walking, what's that little Zimmer frame thing? But the one with wheels. One of those like walking frame. Came on a walking frame. The other gentleman with a walking stick, and the same person who offered me their chair immediately got up and was like, "Please sit here, sir." So he trundled over and sat down, which was great. Just nonetheless, the person was willing to offer their seat just to a person in middle aged with a cane, let alone a very elderly vet. But the other gentleman, just stood, just carried on standing. And this woman who was standing in the sort of the center of the tram section with us, went over and just nudged a woman who was sat in a single seat next to the doorway, but the opposite to where the other gentleman sat down. And just sort of like tapped the woman on the shoulder who was sat there, who was facing the other direction. Had no idea these vets had got on the tram whatsoever. And she took off her headphones and was just like, "Really sorry, but would you mind giving me a receipt for the gentleman?" She turned around, she was like, "Oh, absolutely, of course," because she clearly had no idea that they'd gotten on the tram and he needed the seat. And very, very happily and gladly gave up her seat for the gentleman sat down. And they only stayed on for 2 more stops, and then they got off. So it wasn't like they even had a long time to go, but it was just really heartwarming to see. Not a single person was just like, "Oh my God, like I've got to give up my seat," or like, "Oh, how dare you not give up your seat," or anything like that. Everyone was very kind and courteous, and everyone wanted to make sure, because the gentleman with the walker was particularly fragile and, was slow getting up and down from the seat, and people were like making sure he was okay. And it was just really heartwarming to see how everyone was just like, it was just helping them out. There was a question in chat, how do I know they were vets? They were dressed in military in their military outfits with their medals. They were clearly off to some kind of event or something. So
oh wow,
yeah. So that's how I knew they weren't just two elderly gentlemen who got on. They were actually dressed in their military outfits with their medals and stuff. So as they tend to do here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just really heartwarming to see how everyone was quite happy to look after these gentlemen, so they could travel comfortably and not have to stand when it was tough for them. So really nice.
That's a multi-layered water positivity. I love it.
Yeah,
many elements of that are just, people are actually good.
Yes,
people are good. Humans can be good.
It's good to hear.
Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah.
So that's it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed. Sorry that there was no big news. Sometimes rumors are just that. And you ask your contacts, be like, "Hey, do I need to be ready for something?" And they give you nothing.
Side eye.
But they also don't wave you off. And I'm just like, there's nothing happening. Just wave me off. Like, it's fine. But sometimes they like to play games. So, but I had fun anyway. I hope you two had fun.
So much fun.
Yeah,
as always.
So much fun.
Love that. Folks, if you want to watch us record live, you just need to become a patron. The link is in the description. But please like the video, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to listen to us chat regularly, you can find Freewheeling Podcast on most of the platforms. Everything
except Apple Podcasts.
Damn you, Apple Podcasts. There's got to be like a minimum episode number or something for Apple, because we're on everything else now. So damn you, Apple. Damn you, iPhones and stuff like that. So, but yeah. Please go and check us out, follow, like, subscribe, join the Discord server, and just keep an eye out for when we post. The episode comes out every other Wednesday. So, and I think that's it. So
thanks for everybody watching this week. Woo! It's really fun.
This is fun.
It was fun. But yeah, maybe you only get to listen to us next time. Yeah, gotta join to actually watch us.
That's right.
These beautiful faces. But
and catch these beautiful cocktails.
Yes, that Meg actually puts the videos together and puts on the social media. So another reason she's our social media sortress. But yeah, we will catch you next time, folks. So bye.
Once again, we've proven that even when you're the third wheel,
you can always find a place to fit in.
Join us next time
on Freewheeling.
On Freewheeling.
On Freewheeling.